regular meeting of the North Adams City Council for July 26, 2022. This meeting is being recorded. Will the clerk please take the roll?
Barbo,
Here.
Blackmer,
Here.
Bona,
Here.
Harpin,
Here.
Vassahan,
Here.
Olaskowicz,
Here.
Sapienza,
Here.
Shade, Wilkinson.
Here.
8 present, we have a quorum. Please rise for a moment of silent remembrance. Please remember Dorothy Bosley, mother of our former state representative and former city councilor, Daniel Bosley, and a longtime volunteer at the North Adams Public Library. And the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion to approve. Second.
Counselor Olaskowicz and Counselor Wilkinson. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion, is that an aye that you're opposed to the minutes, or?
No, I don't approve the minutes.
Okay. So 7 and 1. Hearing of visitors on the agenda, please approach the mic, give your name and address for the record. And it must be an agenda item and no personal attacks. Anybody want to address an engine? Go ahead, approach the mic. Yep, go ahead.
Robert Cardamino, 173 Quincy Street. I'd like to address the item number 119.86, please. It's like I said before, painting sidewalks are dangerous and a distraction to drivers. Artists are painting everything that doesn't move. Witch Ledge and the back of the building on Main Street. And it's illegal, they're trespassing. Drivers have enough to watch out for. Jaywalkers and bicycles are coming from everywhere. Art has its place, but not on public property, especially crosswalks. And when they wear out, they're not being maintained. They don't serve any real purpose. So please reject this request once and for all. This is the 3rd time it's been before council. Stop wasting the council's time and concentrate on more important things. Lamb and Eagle Street, that's all we hear. And I think enough is enough on that subject. Thank you.
Anyone else wish to address the council? Without objection, I'm going to move Council Paper 12,146. Council Paper 12,145, communication from Councilor Blackmer appointing Josh Valliers as the city clerk for a term to expire January 28th, 2025. I'll read the communication into the record. Honorable councilors, at the meeting of June 28th, an update was provided on the city clerk hiring process. It is recommended by the city clerk's screening committee to appoint Josh Valliers to the city clerk position. This is officially submitted to appoint Mr. Valliers to the city clerk position for an unexpired term ending in January 28th, 2025. Do we have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve. Second.
Councilor Wilkinson, Councilor Olaskowicz. And I want to give a brief update. The committee met, we went over 23 applications. I want to thank the committee for doing this. The committee consisted of former city clerk Marianne Busey, who is in the audience with us, Councilors Wilkinson, Councilors Olaskowicz, and me. So we reviewed 23 applications. We set up 7 to interview. When we were scheduling the interviews, 1 withdrew and 1 found another job. So we had 5 interviews scheduled. 1 person didn't end up coming for their interview. We interviewed 4 candidates. In the meantime, while we were doing that, 1 candidate withdrew after their interview. And after we were done interviewing, we had a discussion regarding who we wanted, and we unanimously voted to recommend the appointment of Josh Valliers as promoting him from assistant city clerk to city clerk. He'd spent a lot of time and worked really hard for the last couple of months trying to keep the office running and doing the work that needed to be done. At that point, I will open it up to discussion. Councilor Harpen.
Yes, I have to say, I've worked with Josh, and I absolutely admire him. I think he's doing a fine job. However, I do think that the scope should be a little bit more in-depth than it is. Last year, I brought up the issue of salaries being low in the city of North Adams. And it's a discussion that we have had continually here at the City Council and is being reviewed. As we hire this position, which is a very important position for the City of North Adams, as we have an election coming and actually already starting preliminary voting and mail-in ballots are starting, within days. To maintain the integrity of our elections and our city and our records. It is a vital position of the city. And I do believe that, in my opinion, I think that we should go ahead and post the position again and put a note on there that the salary would be negotiable based on experience. Because I do believe that this position does require experience. And on the posting, the very first minimum qualification is 5 years full-time experience in an office setting with general office management experience. That is the first minimum qualification of the position. So to me, because this position is so vital, we do need an experienced leader in this position. And I do believe that we should go and repost this again to increase the salary and hopefully get more applicants.
I will also comment on the fact that city clerks, particularly since the 2020 election, with all the changes due to COVID, the constant changes, and the animosity that took place in some places, some cities, some towns, some states, there was a plethora of resignations, retirements, people leaving the field. And yes, I had hoped when we posted these positions a couple of years ago that someone from a smaller community would want to move on to a bigger community and make more money. That wasn't the case then. We did have more applicants last time, but we also, most of them came through Indeed, and they weren't really interested in the position. I would also like to say that when we hired Kathleen King, she came highly recommended. She did a fabulous job. No matter how much you vet someone, you cannot vet their ability or willingness to put up with some of the things that they've had to put up with. And also, yes, management would be helpful. We had two candidates that had municipal experience, if you would call it that. One was in the state of Vermont. The other was a part-time position for not very long in a fire department setting as a clerk, not as a city clerk. And while I agree that I would love to have had somebody apply who'd managed a city clerk's office or been somewhere, Mr. Valliers is the only person who had actual experience with elections and the other tasks that have to be done in the office. And I would at this point offer the opportunity to the committee members to share their thoughts.
I will concur with Counselor Blackmer. This was a lengthy process. There were 23 applicants. And at the end of the process, when it filtered down, we all concluded that Josh was the best option to fill this position. He's been working in the office, knows the processes of the office. When it came to pay, every single applicant fully agreed that the pay played no part in any decisions here. That was one of our questions, if the pay was to their need, and they were willing to change a career to come be the city clerk in the city at the position that it's currently paid at. But I still fully am invested in Josh. I mean, tonight, I plan on us walking out of here tonight with Josh as our next city clerk. I don't agree with starting the process all over again. We have an election starting next month. He's putting together an election committee. Actually, the mayor is putting together an election committee. I'm sorry, I made the mistake there. It's not. But I'm fully confident in Josh's abilities. Thank you.
Councilor
Nope, I'm
Wilkinson?
going to echo Counselor Oleskowitz. It was a long process. I certainly thank everybody on the committee that put their time in. I believe we had 3 or 4 meetings. We gave each candidate a half-hour interview. They asked us tough questions. We had a set of questions that we asked the candidates. Every candidate got the same questions. So we didn't make them up as we went. There was a format. We all took notes. Some of them were real good, some of them, not so good. But in the long run, Josh was without a doubt the only one that had some experience. I've worked with him now for 4 or 5 months. He's always taken care of whatever I need when I go in the office. That's the type of person we're looking for, eager, young, and I'll get the job done. So I'm in.
Anyone else? Counselor Barbo?
I do have a couple of questions regarding the process again. We did receive an update on the, I believe it's the June 28th meeting. And the update that we were given was that there was in fact 23 candidates. They were going to be going through the interview process. And Mr. Wilkinson, Councilor Wilkinson did state that, of course, the process would be that this committee would bring forward at least 2 of the top candidates to the council. I'm wondering why that process didn't happen. Again, this is nothing against the assistant city clerk. I'm just wondering why the other applicants were not brought before us, as it was stated in the meeting. And also, Councilor Blackmer, on the June meeting, you stated that you were going to be walking away from this process to avoid a bias. And that does not appear to have happened either, as you are initialed as asking the questions.
I am, and I said that I might, or I may, I don't remember if I used might or may, have to recuse myself because several people that I knew had reached out to me about the position. They were none of the applicants that came through, so there was no reason to recuse myself. Also, as far as 1 or 2 candidates, we decided at the meeting, and I was not at the meeting where Counselor Counselor Wilkinson said we would bring forward 2. Historically, they've brought forward a candidate, and they've come in, they've voted, and they've sworn in. And we've tried to be more open. Half the time, a lot of people were just promoted from within the office. Historically, those are the things that have happened. The committee met, and I think the other counselors should speak to this, on the idea that we just felt comfortable presenting Mr. Valiers for a vote.
I'll be glad to talk on that. Our original goal was to, at least I thought, my original goal was to bring 2 candidates. We discussed it and found out, and really historically that's not been the case. We were looking at the candidates, and then we all decided, okay, if we're going to suggest 2, who's going to be the second one? And then we couldn't come up with a rational answer to that because the rest of the candidates were all so weak. So it was a matter of, we have to go with what's best, and what's best is the way we handled it.
I want to clarify, they weren't weak. They just, I think, the.
They were weaker.
They were, I think Josh was stronger based on his experience. I'm sorry, Mr. Valiers. I clarify that. Anybody else who hasn't spoken yet first? Counselor Bona?
Yes. I see both sides. I see the concern of not having years of office experience, but I also know that Mr. Valiers has been in that office now for 4 months, and he likely has seen more and learned more about that particular office and the duties than someone who has worked in a dental office or has worked in, a medical office or many different kind of offices. So just because you've worked in an office period doesn't mean specifically that that's going to make you the right person for this job. I also will credit him that he's been in that office for 4 months and he hasn't left yet. So that says something right there because
You
he,
can go to One Berkshire.
yeah. And
That was uncalled for.
I will support filling the position. I don't want to delay it. I think we need to move on to filling the assistant clerk and getting that office filled and moving forward. What I would recommend is that hopefully one of the prior clerks can, if you haven't already, if you do get this position, is to just make sure while you've learned the duties of the regular patrons coming in and needing their forms and birth certificates and wedding certificates and election stuff, is also, there's a lot in that vault that is historic, that is important, that, again, I don't think anyone could come in and say they have the experience of knowing what's in that vault that holds a lot of our history. So I just want to make sure someone educates you, if you were not already, of the importance of what's in there besides the dust mites. So I will be supporting Mr. Valiers. Thank you.
Anyone else? Counselor Sapienza?
Yes, I'd like to support Mr. Valiers in his position as the city clerk. I've gotten to know him over the last several months, actually last year or so, and I'm very impressed with his abilities, his qualities, and I think he'll make an excellent city clerk, and I look forward to seeing him in the position.
Thank you. Counselor Harpin now. Or, I'm sorry, Counselor Basahan and then Counselor Harpin.
I'm also going to support Mr. Valiers' appointment to this position. Being so is that, Josh, it seems like he's a very quick learner. And again, my concerns is the amount of people that have been going through this position. And to have someone who's taken the last 4 months to learn the position and to support us as counselors going forward, I think is great, and he's been very supportive of the things that I've needed within that office. I'd also say that yes, pay is an important aspect of this position, but I also say that it's just been there's been a decline in people who are just interested in municipal government. It's been seen, with not just city clerk positions, but other positions as well. People are just not applying to them. And if we can get someone who is eager to even learn the position, I think we got to start somewhere. So I'm excited that we have someone who meets the qualifications and have some of the experience and is still eager to learn more. So I'm also going to be in support of Mr. Valiers in this position.
Thank you. Counselor Harpin?
One of my concerns is that there is nobody there to support Mr. Valiers. There's no one there to train Mr. Valiers. And he's been on the job for 2 months. There's a lot to learn. There's a lot that goes on in that office. And the members of our community have a high standard for that office because it's always been very well run. And and I would hate to put someone in a position of being overwhelmed with an election coming so quickly, and trying to learn multiple other things at the same time. So I am concerned about that. I'm not sure where we stand with other former clerks coming in to assist, or possibly having the state come in for this election to train someone how to run the machines, how to, run the election. And maybe through the chair to the mayor, maybe the mayor can answer that question.
Sure. I know we've been working on it. and
Yes,
reaching
so
out.
we do have a former city clerk who is willing to work with Josh on Friday afternoons, and if need be, more hours after that. We do have a part-time person that's being transferred from one office in City Hall to to the city clerk's office temporarily to get us through the election. And once we settle on who our city clerk is, we will contact the Secretary of State and see how we can get some help. My hope is that we would hire an assistant city clerk rather quickly, but this is one of the reasons why I want to pause on the voter committee list, so we can get more help and a more robust list and people on election day. But we've asked several of our former employees, and quite frankly, they just don't want to come back. They're either burnt out for election reasons or burnt out from nonsense. But we do have one city clerk who is more than willing to help Josh and is a phone call away. And that's kind of the plan. So, we need some direction as to who's going to be in the seat, and then we'll build a team around that. But I also think the staff at City Hall, even though they're not part of the city clerk's office, has been trying to support that office as much as they can. But again, they're not election people. So that's where we're at.
Thank you, Mayor.
So just to finish, again, I will say I've worked with Josh, and I do believe that he's a wonderful person. I think he's very intelligent, and I think over time he could certainly do this job. But as of right now, this city needs a strong, experienced city clerk, in my opinion. This is my opinion. And there's a lot of other municipalities, companies, when they hire the first time around, they might not get the right applicant, and they go and they send out the posting again, and sometimes they do it a third time, until they get the candidate that fits the position. So that is my concern. I do feel as though we need a strong, experienced leader with management and office skills, like we have as a minimum requirement on our posting. And so I unfortunately, at this point in time, I cannot support this appointment. I really do believe we need to get another round of candidates, and we need to increase the salary so that we get some additional candidates to apply.
Counselor Wilkinson?
I have concern as Counselor Harpen on your logic. You want to repost a position. You've mentioned that we have an election coming up, a primary. You want to post the position. We want to get the committee back together and go all over all the applicants. I didn't do a time frame here, but doing this round would, if we were to do the same thing, we would be far beyond the election. So we have now would have a assistant clerk, no clerk, and an election coming. That to me is just not logical, Counselor. It makes no sense whatsoever, other than you probably got a bug up your ass, pardon my language. And I'm
Counselor,
Point of
that
order.
was out of line.
Point of order.
Pardon me, I apologize. But there's two counselors here that are constantly putting roadblocks into get anything this council will do. And I'm sick and tired of it. Let's all work together. We don't need a roadblock every time somebody doesn't turn a meeting. minutes meeting in, or many other things. And somebody sooner or later has got to say something, so I'm going to say it. This council needs to work together and not have two members put roadblocks in every time we want to do something. Sorry.
Counselor Luskowitz?
So what I'd like to say that in the time of the deliberation, the arguments against are just pretty much getting repetitive now. So I would know if maybe a motion would be in order to send this to vote, because the argument is, it is getting stale. It's just the same
The
conversation.
phrase is you move the question.
I would like to respond to the accusations.
There was no accusation. I was giving you my opinion.
So that would be the motion, would be to move the question, Counselor Luskowitz. That's the phrase you use.
So I'm not going to be able to respond to the,
It was an opinion.
and
And
I-
also, he has the option to move the question, which is, he didn't understand the phrase, but what you would say if you're trying to, you want us to vote now. Is that what you're saying, Counselor
Let me
Luskowitz?
just say,
The
I will
deliberation is
apologize.
Sorry.
stale.
You move the question? I didn't
okay.
hear what you said because Counselor Wilkinson was talking over you.
I'll remove my question.
Okay, we have a motion to move the question. Need a 2/3 vote. All in favor of moving the question?
Aye.
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 No.
No.
So 1, 2,
No.
3. Okay, we need a roll call on a move the question.
Barbo,
No.
Blackmer,
Yes.
Bona,
No.
Harpen,
no.
Abasahan,
No.
Alaskowitz,
Yeah.
Sapienza,
No.
Wilkinson.
Yes.
3 yeas, 5 nays, motion fails. So what is the rest of the discussion on the topic? Counselor Wilkinson, please no more personal attacks.
There will be no, that wasn't a personal attack. I will apologize if I was out of order. Sometimes I speak my mind. That's the best way I can put it, and I just spoke my mind. If that was offensive to Counselor Harpen and I was out of order, I will apologize. But I truly meant what I said. Thank you.
Do I have?
Counselor Harpen.
Okay, thank you. There's 9 of us here that were all elected by the people of North Adams. 9 of us were elected. There's 9 people that see things in 9 different sets of eyes. And each one of us have the opportunity to state how we feel. I don't feel as though I was rude. I did say how much I do appreciate Mr. Valuers, but I am entitled to speak for the people that I represent. And if it's different than how other people feel, that's what I'm here for. That's, you have your opinion, I have my opinion. And that's how I feel. There are other ways, like I said, the state can come in and help. So that is the way that I do believe that it should be proceeded, is have the state come in and help and repost the position. That's my opinion. I get 1 vote. There's 8 other people that get a vote as well.
Tonight, there's only 7. And you've said the same thing several times. Does anybody have anything new to add? Counselor Barbo.
Thank you. I would like to address it. I'll be one of the 2 who asks a lot of questions. I'll be one of the 2 who asks a lot of questions in this administration. That's what I was elected here to do, to speak for the people. And when I'm sitting here speaking tonight, I'm speaking to the 23 people who applied for this job. And if the standard of what was required is going to be reduced, then each one of them gets to reapply using the new standards. The number 1 qualification on here that is not listed as preferred is a minimum of 5 years full-time in an office setting, doesn't say dental or any other setting, and that, or general management experience. If that minimum qualification has not been met, then it should be reposted with lower qualifications so that these other folks could be applied. If they didn't meet the standards, and this is the only standard you have listed, it's the number 1 that is not preferred. It's what's required. That's who I'm representing when I'm sitting here tonight, and I'm not going to be sorry if that offends some of you. Additionally, I would just like to be able to ask if any conflict of interest disclosures were filed by anyone either sitting on this council voting tonight or the executive committee.
It's not an executive committee, it was a screening committee.
Screening committee.
I'm sorry. It was an executive session, I misspoke. We all get a little bit wound up sometimes.
I didn't file anything, there was no need to. I didn't know any of the candidates other than Mr. Valiers, which he's an internal candidate. Anytime you have an internal candidate, which I think most of the times we've posted positions in the city, there's been internal candidates. But
I
other than, I
understand
don't
that.
have
I'm
any
just
other,
simply asking the
other than
question.
the fact that I know him as the city clerk, I have no other relationship with him. I don't know about the others.
I will say that I know none of the candidates.
Counselor Lesko.
I know none of the candidates. I thought with a clear mind through the entire process, and I came up with the best possibility that I thought out of 23 applicants. I'm not ready to go through this process again. We need to fill that position. We came up with the best possible option who does have experience in that office. So why we have to go through this deliberation the way we are tonight? And to be quite frank and honest, we know why we are on our fourth city clerk this time. I mean, this is unprecedented. In 2 terms, we're going to our fourth city clerk because of the toxicity that lies in this council. Most of them, after the interview, they understood what was going on, and they did withdraw. And I don't know if that was the reasoning behind it, but we are all adults here who are trying to do the best that we all do. Like Councilor Harpen said, we all represent the people of the city. We all have different ideas of how we do things. But when we differ in our ideas, some people will hold it as a personal attack, which is childish. We are grown adults here, and they're sitting here at these tables trying to operate the business of the city.
Okay. And not most, one person withdrew after their interview. So please, I want to clarify that, and most didn't withdraw. Counselor Bona.
Yeah. So, tackle Councilor Harpen's comment about that we all have our own votes, we all represent our, constituents, we represent the city, and hopefully we all believe in a democratic process. So if the vote goes tonight, which it seems like it shall, where Mr. Valiers becomes the next city clerk, I ask that the council as a whole give him a chance to allow him to do his job, to be patient, just as any other new city clerk would come in, and to not put a target on his back immediately, and to allow, it is going to be a learning curve. It's going to be a learning curve no matter who we hire. And it doesn't matter on the age, because there's people who are 20, there's people who are 60 who might walk into an office, and the second they feel a negative tone towards them, they're going to turn away because, it's not an office that you're probably going to go in and enjoy. And I will, like I say, as I said before, I believe Mr. Valiers knows what happens in that office, and it's not just within the council. There are people who come in who are going to throw you attitude if you don't, if they don't have the certificate, or why do I need to get a copy of my license and things like that, and you're going to deal with angry customers. So I believe, again, some of that experience has probably already been seen, and that adds to, even though it says 5 years, but again, if this vote goes the way I believe it's going to go, I just hope there's not going to be a target on Mr. Valiers' back to try to knock him out like the last 2 city clerks have been. Thank you.
Counselor Luskowitz, and I think we're going to take a
I'll make one final
vote.
comment. I've seen personally Josh's level of dedication. I mean, I go to work at 5:30 in the morning, 5:45 in the morning. Josh's car is in the parking lot. He wants to make sure that what he's doing is correct. Double checking everything. He contacts people that might know. He's willing to work with the Secretary of State's office. I believe there might be plans for him to go work with the city clerk, as Clerk Lyon did in the past, because Clerk Lyon had to operate an election. They did 2 elections. Kathleen, Clerk King, and Marcus. I'm sorry.
Lions.
Marcus Lyons. We're in the same position. I've seen Josh's willingness to learn. I call him and keep in contact just to check on his well-being, see how he's doing. I mean, it's overwhelmed because he's doing the job of 2 people. He's in there doing the clerk's job, his job, and he has Brenda in there answering phones. Luckily, the mayor had found him help to have somebody in the office with him. So this will be my final comment, because I just want to get on to the vote.
We have a motion and a second. We have had extensive conversation about this. Everybody's had an opportunity to speak. It's time to vote. This is a roll call vote.
Barbo,
No.
Bona,
Yes.
Harpen,
No.
Abasahan,
Yes.
Alaskowitz,
Yes.
Sapienza,
Yes.
Wilkinson,
Yes.
Blackmer.
Yes. 6 yeas, 2 nays, motion carries. Now, we would like to actually swear Josh in as the city clerk of the city of North Adams. If Russ wants to take a picture, you want to come up? Go ahead. Can you, what was your name again?
Nicole Beverly,
Nicole Beverly is the city clerk?
the town clerk in Williamstown.
Town clerk in Williamstown, sorry. Thank you for coming and doing this for us.
You're very welcome. You can raise your right hand and repeat after me. I,
I, Josh Valiers,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the United States of America,
to the United States of America,
the Commonwealth of
the
Massachusetts,
Commonwealth of Massachusetts,
and the city of North
and
Adams,
the city of North Adams,
and will support the Constitution
and will support the Constitution
and charters thereof.
and charters thereof.
I will faithfully and impartially
I will faithfully and impartially
discharge the duties incumbent upon me
discharge the duties that are incumbent upon me
as the city clerk of North Adams,
as the city clerk of North Adams,
according to the best of my abilities,
according to the best of my abilities,
agreeable to the rules and regulations
agreeably to the rules and regulations
of the Constitution,
of the Constitution,
the laws of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts,
the laws of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts,
and the charter and ordinances
and the charter and ordinances
of the city of North Adams,
Of
so
the-
help me God.
of the city of North Adams, so help me God. Thank you.
Okay. Congratulations, Josh. Okay, now I have to get back to my agenda. Was this published? Yes, it was. Okay, just checking before I say that. Council Paper 11,589-2, and an ordinance amending Chapter 2 entitled Administration, Article 1, Section 2-2.1- Reporting Minutes of Boards and Commissions. A motion to, this was passed to a second reading and published as required by law at the last meeting. And a motion to adopt would be in order.
Motion to adopt?
Second?
Counselor Luskowitz, Counselor Wilkinson. Discussion. Counselor Barbo.
I'll take a stab at it. We had a mention earlier this evening about meeting minutes and counselors who like meeting minutes. I'm not able to attend every meeting that happens in this city. Sometimes there's some that are going on at the same time. And I do need to go to the clerk's office and ask for meeting minutes so that I can be informed on what's happening. I happened to be sitting in this very room earlier today looking for meeting minutes. Counselor Alaskowitz was here. When we have one committee that has turned in no meeting minutes for a year. Having meeting minutes within 10 days or 14 days or whatever the heck we're changing to is, I understand this is going to pass through, but meeting minutes are important. People do want to know what's happening. I want to be an informed counselor who's making a decision, and I do find it quite absurd that I need to be ridiculed for asking for meeting minutes, and anyway. That's my point on this. Meeting minutes are important. The community and this council needs to rely on them, specifically myself.
Anyone else? We have a motion, a second. We've had opportunity for discussion. We discussed it quite a bit at the last meeting. This is a roll call vote.
Barbo,
No.
Bona,
Yes.
Harpen,
No.
Obasahan,
Yes.
Alaskowitz.
Yes.
Sapienza,
Yes.
Wilkinson,
Yes.
Blackmer.
Yes. 6 yeas, motion carries. Council paper 11,986, a communication from Counselor Lamb to request a joint review.
Point of order? And we don't have a Counselor Lamb.
No, but Counselor Lamb proposed it when he was a counselor, so I don't, you can make the point of order, I disagree. You can put that in the minutes.
We're at the fees right now.
Oh, well, what, the pages, did the pages stick together? I'm sorry.
I thought you were.
Oh, yeah, that's right there, sorry.
It was.
Oh, I think I almost one.
I'm sorry, I have the, okay, so it's the fees.
Yeah.
Okay, Council Paper 11,826, an ordinance amending the revised ordinances of the City of North Adams regarding the various fees established in the city code. We have a motion to move to the,
Well, this is going to be, I'll make a motion to continue to the next meeting, and I'm hoping this will be the final one because, well, anyway, a motion to postpone to the next meeting, and then I'll discuss.
do we have a second?
Second.
Counselor Wilkinson, okay.
So,
Give an update.
as I mentioned last meeting, where we're at is we have just 2 departments with a little bit of some fees and fines to go over. The health department and the building department. I've communicated with them a few times. The mayor has communicated with them a few times. The last, 2 weeks ago, I asked Councilor Blackmer, President Blackmer, if we should just go through and get these fees and fines moved forward without those departments. And last I knew, you were going to make an attempt to communicate with them, and I'm guessing nothing has happened there.
I actually didn't, I had other stuff going.
Yeah,
So
sorry.
are people on vacation? Mayor, do you have some insight?
I'm just a little confused because I was told those were sent to you. Are you saying you didn't receive them?
We have received nothing.
I'm on that. You'll
Okay.
get them this
So,
week.
so here's the thing, I'm postponing it to the next meeting. I'm gonna get everything prepared if it's with us or not. And if we don't have any updates by that point from those departments, I'm gonna be asking that we move forward with what we have, because we're going on 3 years on these.
And I apologize for that. I was told that you were sent those
Okay.
after your last email.
Are we
So-
gonna,
We'll be ready for that next meeting.
Okay, well, actually, we need it before the next meeting
'Cause-
if we want to,
Why don't you postpone it to the second weekend
Okay.
meeting in August?
okay, pinky swear?
okay, wait, okay, so we have a motion and a second, we need to,
All right, so I'm going to rescind that
thank you.
motion, and then I'll make a new motion to postpone till the, where are we now?
Second
Our
meeting in August.
Thank you. And you've heard my spiel, so.
I'll second.
Okay. Counselor Bona, Counselor Alaskowitz. And do we, once we get those, we will set up a finance committee meeting?
So hopefully, once we get the request of what they want updated, it will go to Finance Committee. We'll do the final approval on that and put together the report to bring back to the council to approve.
Okay, thank you, I just want clarification. And so there's a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Right.
Opposed? Motion carries. Sorry about that. It, not in my page. Try again. Council Paper 11,986, communication from Councilor Lamb to request a joint review of the concept of artistic crosswalk installations by the Traffic Commission and the Public Arts Commission. We're looking for an update from the Arts Commission, but do we have a motion on this?
Okay, I'll make a motion to file this communication.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, and you want to give an update?
Yes, okay. The Public Arts Commission met this past Monday, and we have discussed that. Our chairperson, Anna Farrington, will be preparing a letter, and if it please the council, I would like to propose that she has a few minutes at the next meeting to read that letter to the council with the response from the Public Arts Commission.
So the question is any action going to be taken at that point? Is there a recommended action?
There is a recommended action. The recommended action was that painting the crosswalks does violate the manual of uniform traffic control, and it does risk the possibility of losing funding for our highways and streets in the city. However, we are proposing that other alternatives near the crosswalks be proposed. We haven't had any firm ideas on that yet, but we would like to present
So
that.
she's going to present, why don't we postpone this to the next meeting?
Yes,
She's going to be there to present.
I will file a paper to have her, to give her 10 minutes or whatever.
Well, I mean, I think she can speak to the, so you want to file this paper and start another process?
If I could speak.
Counselor
I
Vaughn?
think, so what sounds like it's going to come forward is currently what's in front of us is asking about painting the sidewalks. And if it's going to be determined that that is not what's going to happen, then I do believe we should file that. And then what I would actually recommend to Counselor Sapienza is to put on a new agenda item to either if it's just a communication or whatever, so that Ms. Farrington, or as a representative PAC, can bring forward other ideas. Because it sounds like this is not going to happen, so we should file this. We gave it a chance, we tried. I don't, what I asked last time, when I brought it forward, I said, I wanted to go to PAC, because at that time, to me, PAC just sort of pushed it onto the Traffic Commission, and I really wanted to hear from PAC. So Ms. Farrington reached out to me, and she's like, well, why were you disappointed? And I said, because the Traffic Commission, in a sense, did what I expected they would do. They're looking at the law and just the law. And what I wanted to see PAC do is be creative and come up with, if we can't do the crosswalks, then what can we do? And I wanted them to do some research and look at what other communities are doing that are sort of the loophole around the crosswalks, where there is our on public ways, but maybe it's not right where they're walking or not traffic involved. So that's, my opinion is, file this paper, put something new on the agenda for the next one that are some new ideas.
Okay, I'll rescind my initial motion, and I'll make a motion to file this communication.
Second.
Counselor Sapienza, Counselor Harpen. Any more discussion on this paper? All in favor of filing it? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No. Okay. Thank you. Council Paper 12,146, Mayor's Communication Number 80, seeking confirmation of the list of election wardens and inspectors for the term of September 1st, 2022 through August 31st, 2023.
I'd just like to respectfully request that we postpone this to the next meeting, because the clerk and I are still working on the list.
Could I have a motion to postpone this paper?
Motion to postpone to the next meeting?
Second.
Leskowitz and Bona. I don't think we really have to have discussion. We'll wait till the mayor and the clerk come back with a list.
Thank you.
All in favor? I'm sorry.
Can I just ask why it was put on the agenda if you didn't have a list? Through the chair to the mayor.
The clerk put it on, and we weren't ready to do that.
Okay, thank you.
And I think.
The assistant clerk put it on at the time.
Well, and he also, in his defense, was out sick last week and couldn't finish, probably, but wanted to get it on the agenda because everybody likes to make sure things are on the agenda. I would
Yeah,
rather have them on there and have to postpone them than not be able to discuss something we want to discuss. So, kind of motion and a second discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Open forum. Anyone wish to address the council on issues of municipal significance?
I'm Robert Smith, live at 163 North Street. Madam President, all you councilors here, and Mayor. This is a bit more on the light side. Something happened that was very nice today. My neighbors who live above me, a young couple gave birth to a little baby boy. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because this boy is growing up in North Adams, so we have another resident added to our North Adams count. Now, the way I look at it, if this boy is growing up in North Adams, so we have another resident added to our North Adams count. Now, the way I look at it, if this boy is growing up in North Adams, so we have another resident added to our North Adams count. Now, the way I look at it, if this boy is growing up in North Adams, so we have another resident added to our North Adams count. Now, the way I look at it, if this boy is growing up in North Adams, so we have another resident added to our North Adams count. Now, the way I look at it, if this boy is growing up in North Adams, so we have another resident added to our North Adams count. Now, the way I look at it, if this boy is growing up in North Adams, so we have another resident added to our North Adams count. Now, the way I look at it, if this boy is growing up in North Adams, so we have another resident added to our North Adams count. Now, the way I look at it, if this boy is growing up in Nor is that eventually, as he grows up, he could become a city council member. Then after that, he could be the mayor of North Adams, and maybe further down the road, the governor of our state. Now, I know we've had one president from Massachusetts, John Kennedy, but we don't have a president from North Adams who lives in Massachusetts. So I wish him well, and I thank the parents for his birth. Thank you.
And I'm sorry, Ms. Abusey?
I remember where I live. Oh, St. Joe Court, 85 Eagle Street, apartment D. I wish my telephone company will realize that. I wanted to say, when you were talking about Josh, about the clerk and all that, I got a little upset. I'm very sensitive because I feel like it's kind of discrimination against young people and people with disabilities. I'm on a disability board. Anybody out there, if you need anything, come to our board. We appreciate it. We'll be helping. And the city council too. Can you please be careful what you say? Because it does hit home. People do listen out there. They feel like because they're young, they can't do anything. That's not so. There's a lot of people his age are very responsible. I see people my age are not very responsible, and they are responsible. I'm not trying to be mean to any of you guys, but just be careful. Like you always tell me to be careful. Thank you very much, and I still love you no matter what. Bye-bye.
Ms. Abusey?
Mary Ann Abusey, former city clerk, retired, 55 Johnson Street, North Adam. First of all, I want to congratulate Josh. I think that Josh is going to do a wonderful job. I've only known him for a short time, but there's something about him that just resonates that this job is especially for him. I will say to the two who voted negatively, when I was first elected city clerk, I had two counselors that voted against me. And the next day, when I was sworn in, they appeared, and I assured them that I would prove to them that I could do the job. And I know that after 28 years, I think I did. But I know that Josh is already on board. It's not an easy job. I don't think any of you ever realize the amount of information, studying, general laws, city ordinances that you have to know and be aware of. The first thing that was handed to me when I walked through the door that first day in February was the ordinance book, which I understand you don't do anymore, but it's still online. And I was told to read it, but don't worry about memorizing it, just familiarize yourself with it. And I think that that's what Josh is doing. He's familiarizing himself, and he'll know when something comes up that he needs to do a little bit more study. I spent many, many evenings sitting at home with the law book, learning about elections. And I will say that I started on February 15th of 1975, and on March 3rd of 1975, we had a presidential primary. So I didn't have a heck of a lot of time either to learn the job. I will say I did have a senior clerk at that time who had been in the office for a long time, but she was not aware of a lot of that part of the job. And I will say, too, that there was a recount with that election. So right after, that was like learning by fire. But anyway, I really believe that you need to put your confidence in Josh, that he will do fine. And besides that, you have the final say. If he doesn't do the final job, you can say no when he comes up for re-election. So I don't think he's ever going to disappoint you. And I thank you for the talk about the salary. That is one thing that never happened in all the 28 years that I was here, that they increased the salary of the city clerk. It's just, it is what it is. It comes out in your ordinance, and that's what we accepted. And I will say that not one of the candidates that appeared before us at the committee mentioned that. that it wasn't a significant enough salary. I'm not aware of what goes on in the world today as far as salaries are concerned, but I will say that I took a $20 cut in pay to come here from the transcript. I worked in the advertising department, and within 11 months, the city clerk retired because of health, and I was elevated to the position of city clerk from assistant, and then a year from there, you get another boost. You don't do that anymore, I don't think. We used to have 5 steps. So every year, and you would have to go before the mayor and be approved for an increase in salary. So it was out there, and but I know that Josh is going to do a great job, and he won't be disappointed, I'm sure. And I wasn't asked to come and help, but I would be happy to come and help. And I would do it for free. Okay.
Thank you.
We'll take you up on that.
Anyone else? Mr. Cardamino? Yep, go ahead.
Robert Cardamino, 173 East Quincy Street. Former Councilor Lamb wanted to turn North Church Street into a two-way street and make Eagle Street a pedestrian street, which didn't work. There was a big argument in this council over overhanging signs. They finally passed it. Well, you know something? There's one overhead sign on Eagle Street, and it didn't help the businesses there because a lot of them were gone. And this painting the sidewalks or crosswalks has come up before. It was rejected. And these people are up on Witch Ledge, and it's posted up there. And if they keep it up, I'm going to go down to the police station and make sure they investigate that, along with the building on the parking lot, the building on behind the Main Street, up on the top floor. First they put a gay sign up there. Now they're expanding in it. There's 4 different signs up there. They think they can paint anything they want, anywhere they want, and have no repercussions. Well, if they paint the sidewalks or the crosswalks and there's an accident, the city's liable to be liable for it, and especially with a motorcycle, because a little bit of wet on them paint, because they talked about it before, they wanted to put some sand in it so it would be gripping, and that never happened. And like I said, they don't maintain them crosswalks when they paint them. And also on the corner of Marshall Street in Maine, on the sidewalks, they went down and repainted some artwork there. Did they have permission from the city? I don't believe so. They did have. And who gave it to them?
Public Arts Commission.
The Public Arts Commission. The
And that's
Public
their
Arts
charge.
Commission-
That's
Huh?
why the commission was established, to do those, to approve those kinds of projects.
So now the Arts Commission has jurisdiction over public property? I don't believe that.
Well, read the ordinance and check
Well,
with the
you know
lawyer.
something?
Lawyer,
Thank you.
supposed to be no discussion.
I know.
Then, if that's the case, the Arts Commission, if something happens in a crosswalk, and a driver can say, well, because of the painting, I was distracted, they can go after the Arts Commission. Or if there's an accident there, well, let's see what that goes.
You're well over your time. Thank you. Anyone else wish to address the council? Mayor's remarks.
I'm
Concerns.
actually excited to hear the names Witt's Ledge because my grandmother was a Witt and that property used to be owned by my family. So I'm glad that people still talk about my grandmother. Not a lot to report today other than we were supposed to receive bids for the Mohawk Theater. They were due today at 11 o'clock and we did not receive any. So with that, we're not totally discouraged. We're going to regroup, and we're a little disappointed, but we're going to take a pulse on the people who did all the tours and try to figure out why there weren't any applicants. We did set a minimum bid of 100,000. We might have outpriced ourselves. But again, I'm not going to give that building away. That building is very important to us. But at the same time, it gives us an opportunity to possibly look at another avenue or go back out to bid. But I felt like we had a successful process in the sense that we had probably what we call 6 viable candidates. We got a slew of questions after the open house, which was exciting. So the attention to the project was there, but maybe the timing is a little bit off. So we're going to speak to some of the people who did the tour, some of the people who asked questions, and get a pulse on that. So while it's a little disappointing, it's not the end of the road for the Mohawk Theater. We will continue to pursue making that something very active. But again, this is just a sign, I think, of the climate, and it's a sign for us, to regroup. But again, we're not going to give that building away. So why we talked a lot today about the price point, I still think we just got to find the right person. So that's an abbreviated update on that. Other than that, business as usual in the mayor's office. I'll remind everyone that we do have a concert on Wednesday night, a concert on Thursday night, and I just hope you have a good rest of the week.
Thank you. Committee reports and minutes, any? Liaison updates and counselors' concerns. Counselor Sapienza.
Yeah, I have a community concern here. I noticed that there's been a lot of speeding and stuff through the city of North Adams, and I'm just going to ask folks to watch their speed and obey the speed limits in the city. Twice today I had to embark on a couple of trips across town, and in both cases there were vehicles that were quite close tailgating me. There's not any need for that. I would just ask that people slow down, allow the person in front of you to make his turn, give him ample time. Well, it's a small town, small city. We don't need to rush across the town and hope that we get there 5 minutes earlier. I'd just like to ask again, for people to slow down, take it easy on our streets, obey the speed limits, and be careful out there. Thank you.
Anyone else? Counselor Leskowitz.
Through the chair, I'd like to ask the mayor one thing of a concern. Is one thing that was brought up tonight was the lack of maintenance in our crosswalks from Mr. Cardamino. And I do believe you're going to know the answer, that there is a maintenance schedule approaching now for crosswalks to be painted.
Yeah, so we have been waiting and waiting for the Crosswalk company to come. I believe they're coming the week of August 5th, whatever that first week of August is. So we will have the crosswalks painted by the downtown celebration if everything goes as planned. Could you hear me okay, Mr. Cardamino? The first week in August, or the week of August 5th, we're having the crosswalks painted.
Artwork?
No, regular crosswalks. Regular crosswalks.
Good.
Okay? We've been waiting for the contractor to get to us.
Very good.
Okay? Thank you.
Counselor Bona.
Yeah, Mayor, actually, letting you do your squats there, so. Yeah, you actually just brought up about the downtown celebration, so I believe that will probably be held before our next council meeting,
Yep.
right?
August 10th.
Right, and anything new, is it gonna be sort of just as is, as it's been, because it's been.
Everything is new and changing. Yeah. It should be, I haven't looked at the list of vendors. I know we have some vendors coming, we have bands. Lexi's been working very hard on it. So August 10th.
Okay.
We're not going to play our cards too soon. Rain day, August 11th.
I would like to compliment at least my communications with Lexi, and seems like she's doing a good job with what I've seen with the Windsor Lake concerts and obviously the downtown celebration, and knowing that she's handling some other tasks too. So at
She's
least my experience with her so far has been pleasant.
Great. Thank you for that.
Anyone else? Motion to adjourn would be in order.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Alaskowitz and Wilkinson, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.